so much.
She's wearing Nike.
I was told to make a joke when I got up here, and I said I don't make jokes, I'm British, so I apologize. I'm conscious that I'm standing between you all and the bar, which is an important part of how one fights the great battle that we're fighting. So I shall go straight to it. It's great to be here with all of you tonight. And at Nike, we know that our success in contributing to a more sustainable future critically depends on the partnerships we build. And that's why I'm really delighted to be here tonight. Climate Solutions has been an incredibly important regional voice for collaboration between business, government, and the non-profit world. And I believe that if we are to move the climate needle, collaboration will be key. In the systemic approach of organizations like Climate Solutions, I see the path, the light, at the end of the tunnel. Now, before I begin, I want to acknowledge the many organizations, elected officials, and community leaders gathered here tonight. Oregon and our Northwest region, despite my accent, I consider myself now an Oregonian, have become leaders in sustainability across the world. And that is in large part due to your efforts. And that's how progress begins. You shine a beacon of light. It happens when committed individuals share their knowledge, inspire each other, and with their determination, drive positive change. I'm here today to share with you how Nike is seeking to mitigate climate change. And like many of you, we've been working for over a decade to understand, track, and decrease energy use and greenhouse gas emissions across our entire value chain. And this work is hard. We don't have all the answers. And along the way, we've come to realize that climate change is a significant system-wide challenge and that the system is our entire planet. So it gets as complex as you could possibly imagine. And all of us are players in that system. So I do believe it's essential to not only collaborate, but to share progress and lessons learned, and to share the challenges with each other. And that's why I'm here today. At Nike, everything we do begins with the athlete. Our mission statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And next to the athlete in that statement is an asterisk, which, as Bill Bowerman used to say, means if you have a body, you're an athlete, so you're all good. And we know the effects of climate change, including pollution and extreme weather, are having right now today an impact on the athletes that we serve, and they can pose real challenges to our business. We're a global company. Our value chain is vast, it's complex, and it's interconnected. Increasing temperatures and extreme weather pose a real risk to our ability to produce and deliver the products and services that drive our brand. And to deal with the climate change challenges, we've had to tackle a steep learning curve. Along the way, we've learned an important lesson. Much of our early work was focused on making incremental changes to the processes we already had in place. And what's apparent to us now is that to truly address such a fundamental issue as climate change, it's not enough to just make the traditional model work a bit better. The real solution, in fact the only solution, is to create the market conditions for growth. That is why we refuse to see climate change only in terms as a barrier. Instead, we see solving climate change as an opportunity to do business better. Wait, I haven't even begun to tell you about the cool stuff we're doing. So as a business that's working to change the game when it comes to climate and sustainability, we can only do that if we have government as our partner in this story. We believe that we need strong energy and climate policies to protect our supply chains and ensure market certainty. to level the playing field amongst businesses, and to ensure our global competitiveness as we move into that new future. Incentives need to continue to be created to accelerate research and development. Working with government, business can help create the environment that can make us go even faster and progress even quicker to that future in which we are decoupling our growth from constrained resources. As our CEO, Mark Parker, says repeatedly, sustainability and growth are not contradictory. They are complementary. So what is Nike's approach to creating this new sustainable model? In one word, innovation. Innovation has always been at the heart of our DNA. It's an essential part of our ethos to push the boundaries against whatever is possible in the products we make and the ways in which we make them. Our key insight is that when it comes to innovation, driving a sustainability agenda, ironically, is not much different to trying to innovate a new way to design a shoe. We take our capacity for innovation, a capacity that's been a foundation stone, and apply it to the challenge of growing our business while decreasing our impact on the environment. Okay, at this stage, half the audience is going, yeah, what's she talking about? All right, I want you to just think a minute. When I was 17, was not long ago. When I was 17, I worked on pirate radio stations. And I spent all my money on vinyl records. How many of you spent all your money on vinyl records when you were teenagers? All right. I loved my records. I mean, this was my future life. I was going to be a DJ. Didn't work so well. Anyway, but those records were my most precious belongings. I revered them. I can still remember almost every record cover of my collection. And I thought I would never live without my records. And then they were replaced by CDs. And then I thought I could never live without my CDs. And then Steve Jobs came along and created the iPod, and I've never bought a CD since. And I don't own one single vinyl. I want you to think about that because it was such a flawless, frictionless innovation. And it completely changed multiple industries and multiple lives across the world like that. And because it was beautiful, and it was because it tasted better, and it was because it performed better, and it gave me more choice, and it removed the friction. It changed entire industries. That's the kind of innovation we need to show people the difference in how you can create products that are decoupled from constrained resources. We need to leapfrog the old model, and we need to deliver something completely new. Things that are completely new that keep working from a performance perspective. As a friend of mine says, who likes scratchy toilet paper? Really? Think about it, guys. Think about it. How do we bring to the market beautiful products that are sustainable at the same time? So in our new model at Nike, our goal isn't just to make products that are less bad for the climate. We want to make products that are clearly better for the globe. Sustainability is not a constraint. It is a source of abundance. Let me illustrate how we put this concept into practice with one of the most basic elements in the shoe and the apparel industry, materials. The connection between materials and climate change is not immediately obvious. But when we look at our value chain, materials make up the lion's share of our environmental footprint. Materials are responsible for over half of our total emissions and a significant percentage of our energy use. More than 83% of the total water used across our entire supply chain goes into the production and the processing of materials alone. So if we can innovate in materials, if we can create for the world a palette of sustainable materials, we can move the needle on this story that collectively we are seeking to write. We've challenged ourselves to develop new products, new materials, new manufacturing processes that won't just reduce our environmental footprint, but also set a new bar for high product performance and drive growth. So let me give you an example. Flyknit technology. I want you all to just take a look at your feet. Sorry. Or your neighbor's feet. If you look at your shoes, most of them are made up of multiple parts that generate significant amounts of waste. In athletic shoes, most shoes have been cut and sewn, and a typical sports shoe has about 50 pieces to it. And it creates enormous amounts of wasted material as you're doing that cutting process. Now, Flyknit disrupts this completely, because instead of creating a shoe out of multiple parts, we have knitted the upper with individual strains of yarn. Typical Flyknit has 10 pieces or less, fewer pieces, less waste, and by the way, if it's recycled polyester, you can recycle the upper and turn it back into yarn and make it into another shoe. So you don't have to trust me. I actually have samples with me. I'm like the visiting salesperson. I'm actually going to get Molly in my team to help hand this out. So instead of a shoe, this is the piece. This is one piece of a shoe made out with just a few yarns. So you can just, I do need these back though, otherwise I have to do something dramatic. The only waste in the making of this upper is this small piece of white material that is used to bring patterns together, and you can recycle it. Molly, thank you, my dear assistant. It's all fun. And this is the amount of waste generated in an old-fashioned shoe, just one shoe, in just the making of it. All right. Now, fabric dyeing is a second critical area where we've used innovation to drive environmental change and performance change at the same time. The traditional way of dyeing materials is incredibly environmentally impactful. On average, it's estimated that to dye a kilo of fabric uses about 100 to 150 liters of water. I want you to look at what you're wearing and think about your t-shirt that you like. 30 liters of water just to dye that one t-shirt. Think about that. In our era of constrained resources, such an intense reliance on water, which always goes alongside an intense usage of energy, apparently, to perform a basic industry function, that's not sustainable. So last year, we introduced the first Nike shirt that was dyed with no water. The new technology called ColorDry has the potential to revolutionize manufacturing by using recycled CO2 as a more sustainable alternative to the traditional water-intensive processes. It's not only more energy efficient, it also produces more consistently colored fabrics than the traditional methods. And performance and quality are never sacrificed along the way. That's the power of innovation. If we can develop new materials, improve existing ones, and improve the way we manufacture our products, and change our industries, we can have a lasting impact on the world. Now, the fundamental importance of materials led us to obsess them a little bit. We spent 8 years taking all the materials that we had in our database of about 80,000 materials and doing an environmental analysis of each of those materials. Before we did this, there was no tool out there that would actually give you that analysis. No one knew whether hemp was better than cotton or whether silk was better than linen. So we did that work. It took us 6 years, quite a bit of money, and some really frustrated, geeky people in the team, some of whom are down here. But we didn't stop there. We took 2 other crucial steps. We decided to share that index with the rest of the industry. We knew we didn't have all the answers, so we shared it with our peers, even our competitors, to donate so that they could then donate their information, and as an industry, we could move forward together. We also used the index as the basis for what we call the Making app. It's engineered specifically to help designers make better choices. The app uses data from the index to rate the materials most commonly used in apparel and footwear against key impact areas. You can download it for free on iTunes. It has been downloaded close to 70,000 times in 118 countries and is being used in design schools around the world and is part of the design curriculum. Because part of our accountability is to educate an entire new generation of designers on how they can become the future and the change makers in our industry. And as we proceeded along our sustainability journey, we've learned to adopt new principles. We understand that collaboration is key. Climate change has the potential to lead to resource scarcity, price volatility for raw materials, and supply chain disruptions. And these are challenges that many of us are facing. But no one can do it alone. To drive systemic change and achieve our goals, we believe it is critical that we seek out creative and unconventional partnerships. We have to catalyze system-wide change, and so we've made it a priority not only to collaborate with industry partners, but also with government, academia, NGOs, our competitors, and the innovation community that's out there in the world. We work with business through trade associations and coalitions to help drive and shape forward-looking sustainability policies. As a founding member of the Sustainable Apparel Coalition, an industry-wide group leading 150 apparel and footwear brands, retailers, suppliers, manufacturers, academics, we're together looking at how we can reduce the environmental impacts of our entire industry. And on a national level, we're a founding member of BICEP, the Business for Innovative Climate and Energy Policy, which, as I think most of you know, is an advocacy coalition of businesses committed to creating and working with policymakers to pass meaningful energy and climate legislation. And we were delighted to be here with you in 2013 with others to sign on to BICEP's climate declaration, and then in 2014 to sign up to the Oregon preamble to the BICEP declaration. Yay. And in the coming year, we'll see additional legislation and regulations aimed at reducing the impact of carbon emissions. And as we've done in the past, we'll work with other businesses and coalitions, and we will collaborate with you. Now, as we forge new partnerships, we have more opportunities to share best practices, challenges, and processes. Sharing innovation solutions, such as our formula for environmentally preferred materials, such as how we've shared our formula for environmentally preferred rubber, makes it easier to take them to scale across an industry. We have discovered that sharing can be one of the critical ways and pathways to scale. In a world where no one company has a monopoly on solutions, sharing is an asset. So I want to thank you again for the opportunity to speak. The work ahead of us is not easy. All of us understand the fundamental challenge that creating a sustainable future represents. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We are clear-eyed about the challenge, and this is what we know. Incremental change is not going to get us where we need to be, and it won't get us fast enough there. But with sound policy and strong innovation agendas, we believe that it is possible to create the conditions for growth and success for all of us. And we will do that through a broad coordinated effort, looking at economic opportunities, and that change can be a source of abundance for all of us. As the Oregon preamble to the BICEP Climate Declaration says, the Pacific Northwest can lead the way. The challenge to create a sustainable economy is global and requires a global response, but I think we can show them the way. Thank you very much.